Can you see it? Yes. What was it? Look. I wish I had my camera. I've never seen anything like that before. Not me. Neither have I. What was it? Wow. Keep down. There it is in the bushes. Did you see it? Look over there.
Have you ever experienced that almost heart-stopping moment of excitement when you come across a rarely seen wild animal going about its daily business and completely unaware that you're very close by watching it? I have, but I have to say, it doesn't happen very often.
Nearly all our native wildlife leads secretive lives. It's unlikely that you'll ever come across some of our rarer and more unusual species. Certainly not unless you know exactly where to look for them. Here at the New Forest Nature Quest, you can gain a privileged glimpse into the secret lives of some of Britain's most elusive animals, and running the quest is Laura Wade. Laura, one thing that's on the public's mind all the time these days is welfare. How do you manage the animals that are on display here?
The animals which the public see are not on display the whole time. We've basically got an off-display situation where the animals have as near to natural habitat as we can provide them with, and whilst they're not working, they have a holiday out there, basically.
So they're just members of a team, as it were?
Yes, they get rotated throughout the displays. You know, one week they'll have a week on display, then they'll have a week off.
Well, that's the basic philosophy. How's it translated to the daily management of the animals?
Well, the idea here is the area is created for the animal. In the wild, an animal's not going to get fed every day, 10 o'clock in the morning. It gets irregular feeds, it gets different food, it gets chicks, it gets rabbits, the kind of things that would come across in the wild, which can be quite difficult. I mean, it takes a bit of time. It's not a case of, like your dog food, you put down a bowl of dog food every morning. For something like the polecat, and it will scavenge an awful lot of varied diet items from the wild. I mean, it will take slugs, invertebrates, carrion. I mean, if it's a dead deer, it will start to feed on that. The way we feed here is to make it as interesting. Basically, you make the animals work for the food as much as they can. You scatter it about, you can hide it under bushes, you can even bury it because they will dig the stuff up.
What about these bits of cord with clips on? What are they for?
The idea there is the animal, again, has to struggle with the food. It has to savage the food off the tree like it would in the wild. It would have to bring something down.
So it's all mental and physical exercise?
It is, yes. You're exercising every aspect of the animal.
These animals in here are polecats. What about some of the bigger animals? How do you exercise those?
The bigger animals, for example, the fox, the best way to exercise that is the way you would exercise a dog. You can take them out for walks, let them explore the forest.
So the smaller animals get mental and physical exercise within their holding pens, as it were. This guy gets a walk in the countryside.
Yeah, we try to take him and his other companions out daily so that they can interact with the sights, the sounds and the smells of the forest, where other foxes have been.
So he doesn't take you out?
He drags me, have to admit.
Well, he's eating beech mast there now, isn't he? So...
Yeah, I mean, he will find his own food. He's actually caught mice before now when we're out, and we'll dig up a hole and hide them.
Obviously, a great deal of time, care and attention goes into looking after the animals here. But these days, at the heart of everyone's interest is conservation.
Well, I think the most important conservation role that we can possibly play is actually to educate the people that come to our centre and educate them well. At our centre, we're going to provide opportunities, unrivalled opportunities, to actually watch British wildlife in a way that you really couldn't do outside a wild situation. And even in a wild situation, obviously, as you're very well aware, it'd be extremely difficult to see some of these animals doing some of the things they're going to be doing here. So education is first and foremost the most important conservation part of our centre. After education, I think the next most important thing is research. The facilities we have here, our backup off-display facilities, are unrivalled in a British sense. Nobody has really ever run this kind of operation before, and quite a range of different organisations who have interests in the recovery of British mammals, or in the study of British wildlife indeed, have expressed an interest in actually using our off-display facilities for a variety of different research projects. We're hoping to run projects which, for example, test nest designs of water vole boxes and prevent mink predation of water voles. And again, obviously, that's a major problem for them now in this country.
You've got lots of animals as well. What about the captive breeding aspect?
The captive breeding aspect is, of course, important. It's important for our self-supply of stock, and it's also important for some species that we captive produce a surplus, so that for something, for instance, like the dormouse, we produce a number of animals which can be reintroduced into various sites in England where perhaps they become extinct because of habitat isolation, because of changing habitat. And now that the habitat's right for them, both the English nature people and the Mammal Society are extremely keen that we actually start to stick dormice back into these areas. So for some species, a very, very small number, it's very important that we produce surplus stock for these projects.
So the key then is education, research and captive breeding.
I think in order of priority, that's definitely the key.
Once you're inside the nature quest, not all of the animals you're going to be looking for are going to be running around in the open or spending much of the time on the surface. Quite a few of them are much more secretive. They're going to like to hide away in burrows and the like. Now, it would be unfair to chivvy them into the open just so you could get a good look. So we've come up with this. This is a milk churn, and inside is a miniature video camera and a little light, and this is giving us a private view of Biggles the rat here. But if you're not particularly into rats, there are even more interesting things to see on TV, like stoats, badgers and water voles. Surprisingly few people have actually seen many of these British mammals, reptiles, insects and birds in their native environments. They probably wouldn't even recognise them if they jumped out in front of them. But how good are you at animal identification? So, how many did you recognise correctly? Let's fill in the names. It might surprise you, though, that some of those you found more difficult could turn out to be native British animals.
Humboldt penguin, South America. Bearded tit, Britain. Toucan, South America. Grass snake, Britain. Ostrich, Africa. Water vole, Britain. Devil's coachman, Britain. White rhinoceros, Africa. Polecat, Britain. Zebra, Africa. Mink, Britain. Scottish wildcat, Britain. Red fox, Britain.
So now you can recognise some of Britain's more interesting wildlife. You're almost ready to meet some of them at really close quarters here at the New Forest Nature Quest. The trouble is, your quest will be in vain unless you know exactly how to look for them. Here are a few top tips on how to recognise some of the rarer species and a few hints on how to spot them in the first place. They won't all be as easy as this sleepy hedgehog.
Many British animals are frightened of us, so if you're noisy when you're looking, they'll be long gone. Just not talking isn't the answer either, because the hearing of the mink, for instance, is acute. You'll have to watch your step and really creep about. The science of wildlife watching is called fieldcraft. It's all about learning where to look for what, when and how, and picking up on tracks and signs that animals leave behind. A good nature detective wouldn't be looking for a Scottish wildcat here on a Hampshire river. No, this hole means it's the haunt of the water vole. Something bigger's been eating a grass salad here. And this is the cloven hoof print or spoor of a deer, probably a roe deer. You may not be able to follow these tracks to the animal itself, but keep your eyes peeled and you may catch a glimpse. Back at the riverside in search of water voles, sitting still and waiting could be your best bet. But where do you sit? After all, it's a very long river. Well, searching the bank might give you some clues. You could look for a nest hole, some chewed up food, or this, the water vole's spraint site, its toilet and a territorial marker. The animal's sure to return here at some stage, but what you'll see it doing, well, you don't have to watch, do you? Water voles were, only a few years ago, very much commoner than they are today, so you will be lucky now to see one of these stars of the riverbank. The farmyard can be a great place for wildlife. Lots of domestic breeds that need feeding and are food, not just for us. By day, things are fairly quiet, but after sunset, the creatures of night come out to play deadly games. Rats scurry across the beams, and a ferret, an escapee or feral species, is also lurking. A sickly fresh chick is quickly scavenged. But the most familiar and infamous farmyard assassin is outside. Renowned for its cunning, it will outwit the lazy farmer who doesn't protect his hens well enough. The fox, out for a quick takeaway. This cockerel has crowed its last, but in the cycle of life, its death may help the fox's cubs or mate to survive another day. Away from the farmyard, foxes are many people's favourites, but top of the pops are the pied, nocturnal, cuddly inhabitants of this woodland. Quiet by day, badgers emerge at dusk to snuffle, stroll and groom themselves. And each other. In early summer, the cubs will join them for fun and frolics. They're very social animals, always scratching and scent marking each other. But they can be very difficult to see. In the artificial set here, hidden underground cameras will hopefully reveal some of their secret nature. Closer to home, the back garden is a veritable nature reserve. Hedgehogs will find holes under garden sheds as places to make a safe haven for their breeding or hibernating nests. An open window will let another mammal in. More droppings, leading this time to a tiny hole in the roof, the site of a bat roost. Remember, bats are protected species, and it's a real treat to have these tiny tea trays in the roof of your shed. Cobwebs and decay mean holes for brown rats. Hated by many and renowned as plague-spreading pests, away from our foodstuffs, they're actually charming characters that are fun to watch. And here's another species with a reputation. Harmless and becoming increasingly rare, the grass snake often used to come to garden compost heaps to lay its eggs. These days, they may visit our ponds to predate a few frogs, but if you've got one of these instead of a gnome, then you're very lucky indeed.
OK, now you've learned a little bit about how to identify and where to look for some of Britain's more elusive wildlife species, it's time for you to journey through the New Forest Nature Quest. And what better place to start than the back garden, which is just through there. But remember, the key to getting good views of wildlife is to have a little bit of patience and also to be quiet. Here at the New Forest Nature Quest, you're going to have to use your eyes and your ears, and you may not see everything on your first visit, but you're going to have a lot of fun. So good luck and enjoy the quest.